So, Hadi, good morning to all of you for this December 2016 edition of our GIS Conversations webinar series on transforming drones to enterprise productivity tools. I'm Anjusha and I'll be your host for today's webinar. So, happy to see that we have a great mix of participants ranging from local government, commercial, and business partners joining us today, and not to mention all our guests from overseas as well. So we very much look forward to interacting with all of you as this program progresses. So before we start, just some quick housekeeping guidelines. So firstly, this webinar is being recorded and it will be available by the beginning of next week. So you'll be sent an email that includes the link to the recorded webinar, and it will also be published on the landing page of the GIS Conversations program and the Esri Singapore Facebook page. So feel free to visit us and give us your feedback on the contents. Now, while the webinar is happening, please feel free to send us your questions to the questions panel and we'll address them at the end of the session. Finally, we will wrap up the webinar with some quick announcements on what are the few things coming up again. Now, let's start with a quick introduction of Esri for the benefit of our friends who are joining us for the first time. So Esri is a market leader in geospatial solutions, and for the past 40 years, we've been providing cutting-edge spatial solutions to the entire industry. Esri has always envisioned that the power of spatial technology is in its ability to explore spatial relationships and exploit these relationships to solve problems, business problems, and create new value regardless of 2D, 3D, or real time, which is why Esri is amongst the only few IT companies to have survived more than 5 tectonic shifts in the IT industry, ranging from implementing client-server solutions to web solutions or mobile, and today it's IoT and big data. Esri Singapore is a Singapore-based entity that supports in-country clients with implementation and training services since 1981. We have some great presentations lined up for you today, but before we get rolling, I'd like to take a minute to introduce our speaker for the session today, Abhijit. So as part of the professional services team here at Esri Singapore, Abhijit has more than 8 years of experience in GIS solutions. So Abhijit specializes in technical project management and technical advisory roles across various GIS sectors and also leads the Esri Singapore technical support team. For myself as Chief Technology Strategist at Esri Singapore, it's my focus to identify core technologies, solutions, and key skill sets that are of strategic importance to the growth of the geospatial community. And leveraging drones for enterprise mapping is one such area. So here at Esri Singapore, we strongly believe that the value of drones and drone mapping products in GIS is much beyond visualization. While the visualizations in itself give us stunning new perspectives in a few minutes that we could not have had before, the real power of drones is when it's being used to solve real-world problems by dynamically mashing up and analyzing your operational and business information in a 2D and 3D context to gain new insights, and at the same time, have the ability to share this information with the rest of your stakeholders in an easy-to-use, accessible pattern. I hope that sounds as exciting for you as it is for me. So without taking too much time, I'm going to turn the time over to Abhijit to take us quickly through using drones as enterprise mapping tools. Thank you, Abhijit.
Thank you, Anjusha. So to start with, mapping was only for the professional surveyors to create maps and data. LiDAR data and satellite imagery are expensive, and to process them, to acquire them was time consuming and quite complicated as well. And then growth in drone market has made aerial imagery easier and cheaper to acquire than ever before. Information from the imagery is useful to develop new applications, update GIS maps, and to make better decisions. So there are a lot of drones available in the market, and the most popular are like DJI Mavic, Inspire 1, DJI Phantom 4, DJI Inspire 2, and 3 Pro as well. So Drone to Map is a standalone desktop application that leverages your ArcGIS Online named user account to streamline the processing of the drone data. So we will go through the session today and show you some of the design elements and things that we put into drone to gear towards the GIS users. Drone to map for GIS is based on Pix4D technology. It turns the drone captured still images into 2D imagery and 3D products. It supports a complete workflow for 2D mapping. For example, you can generate the orthomosaic for a better interpretation and analysis. You can also generate 3D data for 3D visualization and modeling. You can also do some field inspection to monitor how the field work is going on. And after you create this all data, you can actually share back to your organization. So let's take a look at the real life scenarios that how drone to map is useful and it's helping different organizations. It can help on the rail inspection to identify the defective and obstructed tracks in the railway tracks. On the car park management, it can detect the illegal parking. It can identify the available parking lot as well, and it can detect the long stay parking for better management of the fleet. On the construction side, for monitoring and better planning for the surveying, you can also monitor the progresses of the work and stakeholder engagement. You can do the site inspection, can do site safety check, and also do the volume calculation. In agriculture, farming, and forestry, you can actually count the tree, generate the orthomosaic data, and from there process your data to count the number of trees. And then you can also identify if there is a change detection on the vegetation. And also definitely you can also do the crop monitoring using the NDVI tool. So if your camera is supporting NDVI, you can generate the NDVI output as well using drone to map for ArcGIS. On the golf courses, you can plan better the golf course, and you can manage your golf course and the vegetation management as well. You can engage your customer for the 3D view. And definitely for the disaster management, you can do a lot of stuff like you can search and rescue operations. For a separate session, actually, there is a um, Esri emergency management webinar series. You can also take a look about how in disaster management drone to map is helping. You can also detect the changes, like as I told you, for the change detection on the climate change, coastline study, sea level. Actually, I have a demo. I'll show you how the beach erosion with the drone to map for ArcGIS, and it's helping. It's helping in my demo. So without wasting the time, let me just go through the demo how drone to map is looking like and how do you process your data using drone to map. When you open the drone to map, it looks like this, the interface, and then you have 4 options here. You can choose the rapid mode, where you can create a low resolution, orthomosaic, and digital surface model. You can quickly verify your drone collection was successful or not. So think about you went to the field to collect data. Quickly you collect it, and then without coming back to the office, you're processing your data on the field to check whether the data capture was successful. So you can choose this rapid mode to process your data using drone to map for ArcGIS software. For the 2D mapping, you can actually create the orthomosaics, and if you have NDVI, your camera supports, you can also generate the NDVI. It also creates a digital surface model for better understanding of the terrain and all. For the 3D mapping, it can create the product ready to use in ArcGIS. You can immediately visualize the 3D data in scene view. You can share the textured meshes as fast performing scene layer back to your organization, and you can also collaborate with your other application. Inspection, this template is actually used for to inspect the critical infrastructure. You can view drone imagery in its native resolution, quickly view imagery of an object from all the angles. So let me just go through with you how rapid mode can work with. You can click on the rapid and just create on to create the project. So first of all, you need to provide a project name. Let's say page monitoring, and then you need to provide the folder. So I'm going to choose as a default folder, and then the coordinate system as per your requirement. If you're in Asian region, it's WGS84. In Singapore, we have SVY21. So the next process, you just need to add the folder where you have put all of your drone captured images. So here actually I have the photos. If the photos are already geotagged, then it will not ask you for the GPS file. But here in my scenario, I don't have the photo with GPS enabled. So here I have a GPS file. I just need to select and just check the name, latitude, longitude, and altitude. All this metadata will come through drone's camera. So once you click OK, you can see the green tick on the left hand side. That means the images are already georeferenced and it's already tied to its location. So once you click OK, it will go to the location, and actually you can get the flight path and the images. To visualize how the image look like, you can click on the image and get the complete image view. Right. So the next thing is to processing of the data. How do you process? You just need to go here in the image properties to check how the images and whether you'd like to include all the images in your processing, or you would like to exclude few from there. Then in the processing options, actually you have the options to run it for full mode or rapid mode. And for 3D, you need to generate the point cloud and mesh. So here in my scenario, I'm going to create the orthomosaic and DSM. So previously I have processed the data, and it took like few hours to complete. And let me show you the output, how it looks like. So I'm just unchecking the images. You can see the flight path, how the drone captured the images throughout this area of interest. And I've enabled the orthomosaic. Just zoom in to that certain portion, and you can get the high resolution images. You can also turn on the DSM hillshade and do a quick, check here by reducing the transparency of your orthomosaic to see how it looks like for better visualization and analysis purpose. So once this orthomosaic and DSM hillshade have been created, the next thing is actually you can see the report of the processing report. You just need to click here, and the software actually generates the report of that data, area of interest, and then DSM and all. How's the camera calibration details, flight path, ground control point, everything, whatever you have on the system, it will generate as a PDF. So for in order to provide one report to somebody, maybe your higher management is asking for, you can actually export it and send as PDF. Once you are done, the next thing is you need to share this one. So orthomosaic, you can just hit this tile layer sharing, and you can share this back to your organization, where you can choose whether you would like to go ahead and share it DSM hillshade, and then you can choose your group in your organization and click OK to share the tile layer. In case of 3D, you can actually share as a scene layer. So this is a quick demo. Now let me show you how the data is being collected using drones. So drones to map for ArcGIS is designed to be generic for all drones. What is important is that the drone collects certain type of metadata, At a very minimum, this metadata needs to include latitude, longitude, and altitude. Many commercially available drones have this capability and automatically add this information to the image metadata. So before you fly the drone, you need to have kind of checklist to determine the area of interest, and you need to plan the flight path accordingly. Like if you have I show you in my demo how the flight path looks like. You need to get the flying permit from the authority. The one I'll cover at the end of the presentation, that what kind of permit you need to have if you have that in your territory. You need to ensure that drone has a good quality camera and GPS has been enabled so that it can capture high quality images, and then the processing of the drone data would be easier and it will give you high resolution orthomosaic. So it's very simple. You add the geolocated images to drone to map. They display on the map. The photogrammetric processing engine will go through each and individual image and identify the key points. These key points are unique locations on each images. It picks out thousands of key points all over your image, and key points that match, that we call tie points in photogrammetry technology. And that's how the image know how to stitch together and get orthomosaic and orthophoto kind of output to be produced. So it has three different modes of operation. Rapid mode, mapping mode, and inspection mode. I show you in my demo previously. So once your data has been processed, the next thing is to share your data. So one thing we also want to do with drone to map is to make it easy to share the result. You don't need to bring the orthomosaic into desktop and run 10 more buttons to get it out to the users. We extremely streamline this part of the workflow for you. So 2D products can be shared as tile layers. You are simply launching the tile layer interface. You are selecting which product you want to share, such as orthomosaic, DSM hillshade. If you have a multispectral camera and you produce NDVI, that would be available here as well. You choose which folder within your organization you want to share your data, which group, whether they're public or internal groups. What drone to map does, it's produce the orthomosaic, it knows the resolution, it knows what level of details it can be cached to. So you don't need to be worried about how to set up the cache schema and the resolution. It will automatically do that for you. So you simply point it to the files and hit go. It caches everything for you and it uploads the tile package to ArcGIS Online. Similarly, for the 3D data, it can share as a 3D web scene. And once you're done, then you can leverage those output throughout your ArcGIS enterprise platform. So the next question is, how will you benefit from drone to map? Generally speaking, drones are affordable. It's not that costly. If you compare with the satellite imagery, if you go to some agencies and you want to purchase some satellite image, that's quite cost effective, quite costly. So drones to map, it's quite affordable now, and it's inexpensive. The data collection time is short. You just go and fly and capture the data and come process the data within few hours. It's very fast. So the output would be great, the good resolution output, and the processing time is fast. So the basic training is required to fly that drone safely. So you need to have a operator to operate your drone's data. So generally speaking, we did some projects on the drone to map, and the average duration is like less than a day. Your data is ready. So to start with drones to map, how do you want to start? You can just go ahead and on our website, you can get the link how to start with drone to map for ArcGIS. These slides will be available later on the website. You can just go ahead and hit the link to get it onto that page. I was talking about some regulations and some permits you need. I'm not sure about different countries, but for here in local Singapore, we have CAS drone regulation information, where you you can do something, you don't do something. So depends on the security, how secure the zone is. So there are some information available on the website that's called cache drone regulation information page. And yeah, if you Google it, you can get it, and also you can get it through our this slide. So there are when you need to apply for a permit, so you cannot just, you have a drone, you cannot go ahead and fly in a certain area of interest. You need to get some kind of permit if your weight of the drone is more than 7 kg or any kind of weight, but depends on what purpose you're going to use. It is going to be business purpose, or it's going to be for research purpose. For recreation, and it's not more than not more than 7 kg. I think the permit is not required in Singapore, but still it's better to check with the authority before you go ahead and fly the drone to capture the images and then process using drone to map or GIS software. These are in Singapore we have a few area limits where you have the red color. This area are prohibited, mostly the airport area, and then the Sentosa, this area. And then I think few portion here as well, it's prohibited. And there are a few danger and restricted areas, because drones, like maybe if it falls down by accidentally, and it's not advisable to run it fly it on the crowded area. So there are a few protected areas as well, so you need to check with the authority before you go and fly the drone to capture the images. So the participants attending from overseas, maybe you want to check with the authority, your local government or your central government, and then you can decide which area you want to fly to process your data. But it will take less time to fly the drones to capture the images and to process the data. Within 1 day, your project is ready. There are more resources available on the website, in Esri website. And if you have not seen this, there's a beautiful story map journal. So you can just open this. Yeah, so you can click that particular link to open the story map, and you can get the idea about whatever we have discussed today about drone to map. And you can also identify what will your drone do for you. And there's a good video as well to get familiarized with it. So having said that, I would like to pass back to Anjusha. So Anjusha, it's all yours.
All right. Thanks, Abhijit. So that was a very interesting sharing. So a couple of key takeaways from Abhijit's sharing would be that today what you saw was you're able to rapidly transform the information that your drones are collecting into 2D and 3D products using your desktop tools. You can publish it online and access it through simple browser-based applications. So this is actually a very powerful capability. I think probably let's check if Abhijit has a time to help to show us one of the story maps or a 3D scene that was published out of the drone to map, so that you get an idea of the powerful capabilities that we have here. So we've had some really interesting use cases using our own drones. Like for the first, we actually did a prototype together with the national parks that was showcased at the Esri UC. So one of the things when Abhijit mentioned is that today, while drones are affordable and you get a lot of information, sometimes what happens is that there could be permits that you need to fly drones over certain critical installations. And then you need to have a pilot to help you to fly the drones, and they could have their own availability as well. So you need to ensure that when you're flying the drone, you are able to capture the information that you need. This is why rapid mapping is very key. So this rapid mapping capabilities was something very critical for one of our users, because when they flew the drone, they needed to quickly make sure that the drone collected the information that they needed. So what they did is they flew it, they turned on the rapid mapping. So on the site itself, they were able to check that, yes, this is the information that I need. Then they brought it into the desktop tools to process it, to create the auto mosaics and so on. And it doesn't just stop there. It's not just about processing it to create that first information product. because it's connected to the rest of the ArcGIS platform, you're able to apply the image analysis to do change detection. I want to compare the before and after images to see what changed. Are the changes good or the changes bad? And this could be, let's say, for environmental response, or could even be for emergency response and disaster management. So a couple of months ago, we had in Australia, there were the floods that were happening. And what they did was that they actually flew a drone over those few hundreds of hectares. They were able to process that rapidly and to plan for better emergency response scenarios as well. So today what you need is, like I said, the capability to ingest the data. I need to have the capability to do the rapid analysis. And yes, I also need to have the capability to publish it. So that was where we are. And let me check, does Abhijit have a screenshot? Okay, let me just turn the time over to Abhijit. He's going to just quickly take us through some of the web products that are available. So let me just pass it over to him.
Thank you, Anjisha. Uh, Let me just share my screen. So I was talking about that this particular story map journal that's available online. So here you can get the information about how to create automosaic, 3D meshes, and more in ArcGIS from your drone captured still imagery, and that too in minutes and not in days. So you get a good idea about what drone to map for ArcGIS can do with your data. There's a video here as well. You can just turn on this video to get familiarized with this one. Yeah, so the next one is you can get the value of drone to map, how you can get the imagery on demand and what you need in minutes, not in days. There are a lot of advanced feature made easy, like no more fussing over cache parameters. I was explaining that taking too long on QA, QC, and run the same processes again and again. The good part is like you can enable better, smarter decision making by reducing the uncertainty and enabling the smart decision by bringing high quality drone image to your users in a fraction of time using the ArcGIS platform. And you can leverage your GIS investment, which means you don't need to integrate a separate IT system. You can align your drone imagery strategy, the trusted and stable ArcGIS platform, what you have already in your organization. So what you just need to have a one named user account to just log into your drone to map for ArcGIS software and start processing your data with it. And as we were talking about, it works on ArcGIS platform. It works with ArcGIS desktop and ArcGIS online as well. And if you have ArcGIS server running at the back in your organization, it can work with that too. So you can publish as the images as an image service, and then use that image service as a base map in your other custom web application. Um, and you can also do quickly, so it's easy to store your projects in ArcGIS, quickly discover and retrieve the imagery you need. You can detect the changes over time by applying the segmentation and classification algorithm to your imagery. You can quickly identify and discover, answer your problems as well. So this is a good story map that you'd like to take a look, and it's very short and quick but intuitive. So it's like you can get all the information here. And the next thing what I would like to show you is how you can actually process your 3D data, and then you can visualize in drone to map for ArcGIS. So before this presentation, I have created one short demo. Let me show you how it looks like. I'm sure that many of you have seen this one. So here's the 3D data, the house, and it's been processed, and the image has been captured in orbit mode, the drone. So once you capture and process, that 3D data would look like this. Yeah, it's a quite faster process, so you have a better good imagery, and then you can actually generate a high resolution 3D data, 3D textured maze, and you can actually share this data back to your online as a scene layer and consume as a web scene service. So here you can see the flight path from where it has been taken, the images. And not only that, you can also, while processing your 3D data, you can generate the 3D PDF. Let me just open the 3D PDF for you to showcase how it looks like. Yeah, it takes a little bit time to load. Yeah. So yeah, before this one, I had no idea what you can generate the 3D PDF. So it's really nice to see, in 3D PDF. So think about it. You would like to share your 3D result, and they don't have maybe ArcGIS online account or something like that. You can just go ahead and share this PDF via email or something like that, so that they can get the idea how the data looks like. And I think it's a good way to share your data, especially the 3D data, um, to your other colleagues, so that they can analyze. Yeah.
Thank you, Abhijit. Yeah, so that was just a very quick recap of some of the information products that you could create out of drone to maps. And I really like the 3D PDF because it works in both online as well as offline mode. So just imagine you're sitting there in the field, you collected the data, you created your 3D product, you published this as a scene service, which means that your end user can be connected and they can access through a browser without having to install anything, or you can just quickly create this 3D PDF and send it across to them as well, so that they could use it when they have limited connectivity, especially in disaster and emergency response. So that kind of like brings us to the end of our webinar. So let's go ahead and take a few questions. I see a few questions have come in from the questions panel. So let me, I will let Abhijit take us through the Q&A. Go ahead, Abhijit.
Okay, thank you, Anjusha. So one of the question I see from Michael is like, can we generate DEMs from images? So at this moment, digital surface model and digital surface model is supported. DEM,
The elevation model, yeah.
elevation model, I think it's not yet supported.
Yeah, but we
But
can
maybe,
check and we'll
yeah,
get back to you on that. So yes, it's a good question. We'll probably let you know. Yep.
yeah, right. So we have his email ID. Maybe we follow up with him. Uh, One of the question we got is, does drone to map for ArcGIS work only with a specific type of drone? The answer is no. Actually, it's generic for all drones. So you need to have a good camera and the GPS enabled. That's it. What you required. So no need to have a specific type of drone, or if you're asking Esri to provide you the what kind of specification you're looking for your drone, so you can just go ahead and buy any good specification. So that should work. As far as you have a good camera and the GPS enabled, it should work.
Yeah, talking about that, so when you talk to your drone vendors, make sure that today the drone to map supports, processing images. So if you have drones that are collecting videos and things like that, those are not really very useful formats to convert into a enterprise GIS today. Yep.
Okay, one more question I can see is, does end user need ArcGIS desktop for processing? Actually, drone to map is designed to produce GIS ready products. that can be published directly to ArcGIS Online. So ArcGIS Desktop, yeah, you can add some additional visualization and analytics capability to get the most out of your drone data. So if you want to process your data further for better understanding, for better visualization and better analysis, you can definitely use desktop to process your drone captured output, right? And one more question is, now at this moment it's working with ArcGIS Online. So the first release of drone to map for ArcGIS, it does not support licensing with Portal at this moment, but it does support sharing to Portal for ArcGIS. So in upcoming release with 10.5 ArcGIS server, you will be able to deliver images, mapping, and GIS services securely behind your firewall, which means it will work with your Portal and ArcGIS server. Okay, one more question we got from Abdul Malik is like, how can we fly drone in medium or heavy air condition? I think it depends on the, how heavy is your drone is, and it should not shake. So which means the images should be captured properly. So it's better not to go for heavy air condition where it's windy condition. So it's better to avoid those kind of days where the wind is blowing and you just don't want to go and capture your drone images.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, it depends on what is the output that you want from your drone collection. Like today, let's say if you're looking at an emergency disaster response and the weather is really bad and you want to fly a drone, as long as your drone is going to be, I mean, the last thing you want is to lose your drone. So we probably recommend those kind of drones that are used by those professional agencies to fly and collect it. But having said that, if your drone can withstand the weather conditions, I mean, from the hardware point of view, the imagery that you collect can still be processed. It's just that probably you don't get the survey degree accuracy and things like that, but you'll still have something rather than not having anything. I see another query is on image types that are compatible. I think today we don't have any restrictions on that because usually, as long as the images are geo-referenced, we would be able to collect and process that. So there's some UAV files in a .ntf format. So that's a new one.
NTF format.
I think we'll need to look that up. So what I'm going to do post this session is that we're going to collate all the questions that you guys had, and I will publish it up on the blog site so that you can come there. There was some request for a copy of the PowerPoint slides as well. So I'll put the link up to the slides, the questions, and the recording. Oh, sorry, am I on mute? Okay, all right. Yeah, so we put it up out there for so that you can have access to it. Hope that's okay. Have we missed any other queries? So there was one on coordinate systems that was talking about whether the coordinates is from the edge or from the center. I believe it should rightfully be the center. But again, we will confirm and put it up on the site for you guys. Or attach it to the presentation when we share you the text. Hope that's okay. Is there any last questions? No? Okay, all right. Yeah, so before we end, just some quick announcements. So the next session is going to be on story maps. So the next webinar is going to be on 11th January. So do join in when you get the invite to register. And not only that, we're also going to be hosting these meetups where we can actually interact with you better and share some of your projects, ideas, and hear from the latest offerings that we have for geospatial solutions. So our first meetup is going to be held at the Esri Singapore office at 3:30 on 20th January. So for our overseas guests, if you're planning to come down to Singapore for the Chinese New Year holiday, extended shopping, feel free to join us. It's a free session. So we'll have some informal sharing, some drinks and networking so that you can meet us, you can meet your colleagues or your companions in this geospatial journey, and then discuss on what else is it that you'd be interested in. Well, that's it for us. So, for if you have any, so like I said earlier, the recording is going to be in the follow-up email. I will try to include the attachment with the slides together with the Q&A. And for other queries, you can write to Abhijit. General feedback about the webinar, technical issues and things, you can write to me. For sales and commercial queries, please write to connect@esrisingapore.com.sg. Well, that's all from us. Thank you for joining in and have a good week, everyone. Thank you. Bye.